Our big piece down first. I'm always a fan of, I love the Christmas papers, but I love the winter papers. Especially when Authentique does theirs, because they do it in so many blues. Like last year it was all blue. It's just so wintry and so blue. Okay, how come we're not straight here? See, your art glue will dry pretty quick. And, oops, that's our other mat. Finish our edges. Man, I need to warm up my fingers. It's using that white chalk paint on a wood project. And I guess there's still residue even after cleaning up again last night. Or just the darker paper picks up everything. Kind of black pants and lint. All right, let's get things straight. And our green plaid. Okay, and now we can get our, oh, there we go. I can say, wait a minute, that magnet should work. Let's go ahead and get our back matted. I like to go around that magnet a few times. Okay, one thing I want to see. Now this one, the way it will open. Yeah, let's go this way. We had, let me see something. We had this last page, but then that starts a new one. So my thoughts are, we are sort of starting over. And we have used our sweater, but this one goes so well. I mean, we're going to have to start, reusing and turning over. I want to go ahead and use it for the front of here, which is going to be the 5x7. So 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. And the cut apart that will go on is to enjoy the beauty of winter when we get to that part. I mean, this is on the opposite side. So it starts our, basically starts out the next set of our pages, and they're going to open just a little bit different. And it's not like they have to match perfectly that last page like I would in a normal sequence of pages. Our edges down to minimize the glue. Oh, not again, but I think it's too late. Nope, I got it. I'm, for some reason, not getting this straight. Most of the time, it's just enough that I say, ah, it's okay. But no, this time I want this album perfect. And there's the front of that one. I love it. Now see, instead of coming where these can open, so this will be on our hinges. And it's going to open this way. Look at that mouse from the paint from the other side. Okay. So we're going to have, we have the flap that opens down, and then we have our pictures that come up. So we want to, actually, this one is going to have a little bit of a gusset on it. Wait a minute, is this the one? No, this one does not need the gusset. So I cut it too long. So I need to cut this back down to, oh no I didn't. I stopped just before the 9. That's right. We're good. Sorry. So it's 9 by the 5 7/8. And then I took the other half and I cut it at 5 by 6. So 2 pieces of 5 by 6. And we're going to put the first piece in on the 9-inch side. Now see, there's 9, but I backed it up a little. Let's go ahead and score at 1/2. And I will wait to trim it because I may need to. Now on the 6-inch side, you're going to want to score at half. This one, you don't need, wait a minute, we need to score half on both ends of one of them. That weird moment you think you hear somebody. Okay. Grab your page. Cool. It's not too long. Go ahead and angle the edges. I am hearing somebody. Well, I am not crazy. Well. We will put the belly band on here after we put this together. Now remember, it's just a hair short, so you can center it. So you have just that little bit on each side. Now if it is too long, right here, go ahead and trim it, but you should be fine. We'll put these on and then we'll make the belly band. So we're going to fold up both sides. How did I get myself turned around here? Okay, the top one is shorter than the bottom. Oh wow, I messed that one up. How do you just mess up a tiny little flap? I'm going to cut this off. I am sorry about that. I don't know what I was thinking. We do need to score this. Why did I? Sorry, I thought my dumb moments were over last night. So I cut this off, which is just fine. It's going to be 5.5. This one will say it's normal size. You can cut it if you want them both to be even. This is going to attach to the top, and this is going to attach here. You know, I just don't know what I was thinking. Do you know how you have that moment? Like, what have I done here? There we go. That will fold down. It goes up. Folds up. Phew. Okay. Center. Wow, having one of those moments, and it hasn't ended. Okay, it does go underneath. I got myself completely turned around. Yes, I do get lost when I go out in the world. You may be asking. The answer is yes. Okay, I'll re-show this to you. There we go. Okay. Opens, 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 comes down and down and closes. Phew, that is not hard. Now, got a couple of options And sometimes this works, so let's go ahead and try it. You've got the magnet on the back side. Excuse me. Find that one. This one comes down. Preferably the sticky side. There we go. We'll grab. This will come down. And there we go. Then this will close and it will grab it right there. Now, it's really not the option I was looking for. This is the option. There we go. Because I only want to use one. I promise I will get this. All right. This magnet then will just sit on top, but it will stick to the large fold down flap. I can make many of them, I promise. There we go. Now, the nice thing is, go ahead and mat this, and we'll mat, no we won't, let's see. You know what, for the mat, the thickness of the paper, I'm going to go ahead and use 2, but you could get away with 1, or you know, that's kind of the washer effect. No, I'm going to go ahead and use 2, but I wanted to show you can get away with 1. Yeah, I like that bit better. Move that mat, and let's get our next in line, which is the llamas. So we've got the llamas. And we have a belly band though to do first. So remember the width is like 5 and, not quite 5 and 7, well it's 5 and 7/8, that's correct. So we're going to cut a piece that is 6 by 7/8. And for this, I'm just going to kind of go through my scraps. And I'm really wanting a wider belly band for this. So I'm going to grab this piece that is 3 1/2. I'm going to cut it 6 and just at 6 and 7/8 by 3 1/2. And we are going to score it at 1/2 inch on both ends. We have some construction going on, so you might hear some construction noise in the background. Now, open your page and make sure it fits. And you can do 2 things here. If you don't want the belly band, you can make the pocket. And I am going to make the pocket. But I want you to see you can do the belly band. Because I did change it on the original album. So let's do, that's if you want your belly band. I'm going to go ahead and score it along this bottom edge and turn mine into the pocket. But we have to, we'll make our pocket, then we will mat our flap with our llamas first. And then we will put our pocket down. And let's go ahead and miter these corners just to hide them a hair since they're going down without matting inside of them. And then our mat's basically 8 1/2. So I'm going to cut this 1/8 of an inch shorter, which is, this was 5 and 7/8 by 8 3/8, but I'm going to cut it just a hair short of those measurements. I'm going to cut it down just a hair more. So 5 3/4. Stop just before 5 3/4. Let's go ahead and go to 5 3/4. Okay, so the inside piece can be the same size as this piece right here. And I'm going to go with the green. I'm going to cut this the same size as I just cut that one. Mine's 5 3/4. And check my sides there. Awesome. Go ahead and mat these two big ones first. Oh, I've had this open. I'll just start here. A good white one. And if you have that magnet, just make sure the paper's down. Edges down. Checking my pocket or belly band, whichever you're choosing. And I do want a ruler on this one so that I know it's straight. going to have it about 1 3/4 from the bottom, but you can decide where you want. This one, remember, putting the tags in, you just want room. So I'm going to set it down on my ruler. Make sure it's straight. Now our little pocket is 3 inches, and then it's going to be the 5 7/8. What's nice is we're starting to get some scraps. And we do want our llama piece for inside. So I'm going to put the snowflakes on the outside, and this is also going to be cut for my base page. So I'm going to go ahead and cut both pieces at 2 7/8 by 5 3/4, and then the size of your page on this one. So noisy. Then we'll be making our tags to go in. We can open our double checking. I'm going to take just a hair off. So I have plenty of room for those. There we go, score lines. Okay, now we can work on these little folds here. Okay, we have one flap that's 5 by 5, one flap that's 5.5 by 5. And so I chose these scraps because they are wonderful for this whole snow theme. And I cut one. But I didn't pay attention to the fact that it's pattern specific. So, oh, maybe I did. I need to trim it. So this is 5 by 5, 5.5 by 5. So let me see what I've cut here. Actually, it should not matter because this is a square, but it's not quite. Okay, it's just the way I'm laying it down. It's kind of hard when you have two really long flaps. So I'll put this one on the front. Then I did cut my green that match to go on these two inside. I will have the two more patterned here on the outside. Those will go on the inside. For my flaps and pockets, this is where I start digging into my scraps. For on the inside, because I don't want to use up my pattern paper, we still have 2 more pages to do. Okay, and continue to use the squares. It's getting time for a new sepia pad. So I have kind of the llama sweater theme going, so I kept it, and then with the mittens and the hats. So you can take a 5 by 7 picture and cut it down, because you know there's always waste there, and that will look nice on the front. You can put a couple of small pictures. You know, I'm going to do the inside here because that helps with the contrast. Helps me to see where the blue, sometimes with the dark colors, it helps to have the pattern paper for a contrast when you're matting, or it does me. Great photo mats. edges down. Goodness, excuse me. And page 2. So we can add him, that finished one. Okay, we are going to go ahead and do our triple pockets here. And I will go ahead and get those all cut and then come back with the measurements for you. You're going to want one piece that is 7 by 5 and then 2 7 by 3 1/4, and you should have these in your scraps. We're going to start with our 7 by 5, which is going to be scored on all 3 sides. And so that these go through, we'll have full-size tags. These are only scored at 1/2 of an inch on both of the short sides. So at the 7-inch, then we just score those at 3 1/2, or at 1/2 inch on the 3 1/4 inch pieces. And we'll just score everything up. We're going to have to check the fit on the page. Oh, that's right. We're starting a brand new one. So I'm not too worried about my length right now. I'm just worried about the side to side. I like it to fit perfect. So let's go ahead and cut our bottom one. I may have gotten too close. Let's see. Oh no, we're good. Okay, I'm going to lay all of my pocket pieces down first. What we're going to do is just kind of get an eyeball of what we want it to look like. And we want our tag to go all the way through. So I'm just leaving a little bit at the top. And one thing you can do while you're doing your placement here is to grab your clothespins. They are really a great second set of fingers. I place this down towards the bottom. Then I can move. See, I can tell that this one, my middle one, needs to come up a little bit. It needs to look, I don't give you like placements where you should, because I go by what looks good. Hope you can see that. To me, that looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and just pin the edge here. And then I want to pin the edge here free of the top piece. The bottom, we know exactly where it's going to go. So we can set that one aside. And for placement, of course, you want to have some kind of a mark so you know. I'm just going to place that. That's where I want that bottom to go, and I want this bottom to go. I just think that makes it so much easier than measuring. I'm going to start with my first one at the top, and you just need to add your adhesive to the sides. And then we have our marks, so that's where I will make sure the bottom hits. And then your next one will sit right on top. And if you need to have a little help keeping it straight, you can just add your ruler, which really does, it helps. To keep your pockets straight. Because I have a few seconds here. I don't know if it's the light today. It's just hard for me to see the dark on dark. There we go. I was afraid I had a little bit of stick over there. I'm actually going to bring that pocket and re-burnish it. There we go. Somewhat. You know those times when, let's see, you probably, I don't know, can't even see it. That drives me crazy. So, there, it's just the way it folded. Okay, I will live with it. So at this point, I would have to make a whole new page just to get rid of that. Okay, it's just sticking over the edge a little. Even though I checked everything. Yes, I know. Overly OCD. Okay, so if you've got your pockets on, I'm actually going to demolish this pocket, and I am going to rip that up because it's going to drive me nuts. So I will be back and we will finish. I'm going to fix this. Okay, I decided to come back on and I want to show you because I literally just ripped that off, okay, instead of fixing the page. And I'm going to take this tab that is a little bit too long because it's driving me crazy and re-score it. So I thought, you know, I ought to just show you what I'm doing so that you There is some damage, but you know what? That's why we mat it. And if you're using a good heavy paper. So now it's perfect. I cannot stand. So what I did is I ripped these up. I ripped this off. And you know what? You can use undo, but I've never found it really to work with this glue. Then I'm going to take this flap and literally pull it just a hair, because it was just a hair, and re-squirt. But it was enough to drive me nuts. And after I came off the camera, I thought, you know, I better show you guys. You don't have to start all over. Now, some of the paper's down, but if you're using a good quality paper like the linen, you will mat this, and nobody but us on camera will know. Now, when I lay it down, my page is perfect side to side. Got some wrinkles. As soon as we mat, that's going to go away. I'm going to lift that right up. So see, everybody has to fix their pages every now and then. And it happens to everybody. But we don't have to throw it in the garbage. Even though at the moment we feel like it. And we think, how on earth did I make such a tiny little mistake that it would drive you nuts? But it happens. And when you want your project for it to be perfect, well, that's what happens. Now, let me just go ahead and bend this back into shape. And as soon as we mat, everything will look just fine. Much better. It was just hanging over that edge, and there is no way I would know it's there. I would see it when I mat, and I can't do that. And I have ripped hinges out the exact same way. I'm not going to let what I made go to waste. We just fix it. It's really no different than sewing when you unpick your stitches and start over. Okay. Woohoo! We did it. Not too bad. All right, let's go ahead and pick out our next sheet of paper. And we are either going to start over or we have our cut apart sheets. And you may or may not want to cut yours. We have two different. I'm just trying to grab the other one. Okay, one we already used that has these flowers, and this one is the little tiny snowflakes, and I'm going to use it on the whole thing. So I'm going to cut this the same width, the 5 7/8 by our 8 3/8, because we're going to then cut it down and mat each one. And I know buried under there we go, is my small cutter. So my first one will go down here. But you know these guys are kind of, you can go across. They're meant to go down. Mine are going to go across. No, mine are right. Okay. So see, we'll slide them down in here. One will go there, one will go there, one goes on top of here. So this one should be the 4 3/8. So I will cut this one. Now this one, because we just barely need to go underneath, I'm going to go 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut each one of these at 2 1/2. You know, maybe my madness did not work here. So we will need to cut another one. So this one will sit here. This one will be at the very top, and we just need to cut one more because you do want to mat. Well, you may not. You may want to leave it. I do. I want to mat so it all looks the same, like one page. So I'm going to cut another one because we did cut this one at 2.5 by the 5 7/8. So I thought it would work. But you should have that other piece if you used your cut parts before. Okay. Boy, the CPS shows up a lot more on this lighter color. You know, we should have just left it the 5 7/8 by 12. Cause, oh, and yeah, you had that other little piece, so no big deal. Because you have to cut it to compensate. Oh, Lordy, we'll get through this. Problem is, I keep thinking about all the other things I want to make also, and I need to just concentrate only on this. Getting some of the inks off the paper. And my next one. Right, now let's go down and make sure everything's free. And my last piece. Sorry to come out of the camera, but I can't seem to get a hold of this. Okay, and there is the pocket. For the gatefold, I mentioned, I'm not for the gatefold, I mean for the papers, I had only mentioned one. Actually, we are going to be using two. And we're going to be using it also to mat the back. So it will be 2 pieces of each of the colors that I mentioned. So I did already cut my mats. And this is for our gatefold pieces on the front. And again, we want to measure, we want to score them first and then we'll trim them. But they are 3.5 inches, and that one's crooked, so good thing I checked it. And they're not quite 8.5. Again, I stopped short. So let me get my cutter here and let's do some. That would have made my gatefold, whoops, crooked. Let me turn off the volume, and we would not have been happy. Sometimes that's why when we cut crooked, it's really good to check things side by side, because that's what will make our pages be crooked or off-centered. I'm not really sure. I think this one I must have moved. So let me grab the other half of that paper. I'm going to recut these. Check my length. Yeah, I want to recut them because it will make them crooked and they won't close right. And then I'll be trying to figure out what I did. So I cut another one. Let me just put them side by side and see which one it matches the best instead of cutting two. That's the one that's off. So always check your gatefolds when they're side by side. There we go. I just must have moved that one on the cutter. Excuse me. We want to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 of an inch. On both of these. I'm just making sure I got that volume off. Okay. Before I cut my corners for this one, I will go ahead and check the fit. And let's just, it's a bad habit. You may wonder why I say I'll be back, or I'm actually watching also the store. And when a customer message comes up, I have to answer it because a lot of times they're right on the website and they can't find something, and that's frustrating. So I like to answer. So I know you can't answer me saying, okay, I know you'll be right back. Just to have it. All right, again, let's check to make sure we've got a gap because you want them to open and close once they're down. You're not going to be able to trim it. So if you need to, grab your clothespins. It's a lot better to check it at this point when you can adjust the fit, because once it's down, it's, as you saw with my pocket, it's a little harder, but it can be done. So I'm looking to see my fit, and I'm happy with it. So I want to miter the corners on my flap. And I also want to use my chomper and cut those angles so it matches throughout my book. I really like that look. Okay, so I chose the trees. And I want the trees for inside and out. And then I'm going to have the chocolate brown. And I'm going to use the hot cocoa. Love this one. I need to trim. This is what's going to keep our flap closed with our large magnet. And I will be matting this with chocolate. And I'm actually going to make the border. So I want to make sure everything fits. Trees. I can do these guys together. And I love those swirlies. It makes it look like hot chocolate. This has just been a really fun paper. It's kind of one of my favorites. I'm really enjoying it. Okay, everything is down, and we can get these guys down and really burnish that edge really well. Make sure it's not upside down. Well, it wouldn't matter. Actually, no, it would not matter on this one. It's kind of a habit. I have put things on upside down. Make sure I get that right to the edge. Otherwise, my flaps won't close the way they're supposed to. Well, we have a visitor again. Like the weather's bad outside, so she will be visiting us even more. Hi, Tiger. And she talks. Yes, I know. This time she's going to walk right into the camera. Really. Like I said, we don't see much of her in the summer. And she thinks I'm talking to her when I'm down here filming. Now, I may have a little issue from Tommy, even after I tried it. It's the way I put mine down, but... Let me move the kitty. There we go. Oh, and it's probably the way I put it down, so I'm going to open my flaps. We're going to lay it down. You know, it's off a little bit. Got to be the way I'm cutting the paper, yeah. So that they're even, I'll take a little bit on each side. I must be holding it a little crooked. Wow, I sure am. So let's just pull this over a little bit. There we go. Oh, there we go. Now, my cutter isn't like my big dolly cutter, so it's not always nice to the paper. She's still talking. I think she just thinks we're here to entertain her. There we go. But we're going to have to probably trim these. Now, when I trim these, what I'll do is I'll trim it from the back, if need be. That's going on the inside. I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, she's pretty insistent that we pay attention to her. Oh, see what I did? My trees are upside down. So, we're going with the green. Maybe. We cut another piece. Make sure it's not upside down. All right, kitty, you've got to move. Yes. Ah, move. Don't want to cut her feet or anything. She wants to stick them up there in the blade. All right, we'll pay attention. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and ink everything. Oh, magnet down first. Well, no. Yes, magnet down first. get your, basically the middle of the page. Okay. Now we can get to inking. Don't be surprised if she sticks her nose up to the camera. Ah, no. I said in the summer she won't pay any attention to me, or in spring because she's out under the lilac bush. She actually has made herself a bed. But in the winter, when the rain starts like today, she will not leave us alone. All right, I did cut the map for my page. Go ahead and ink this one. You need to move. And then the map for the inside is the trees. Okay, I did make her a nice little spot behind my computer where it's warm, the computer screen monitor. And I think she just found it. That will be her bed. I'm hoping that she will like it, the kitty, and leave us alone. Okay, let's go ahead and cut this one. Now, I want it to be a little bit bigger. I do want a border on here, and our tag is the 3x4. Oh, good. She's liking her bed. So maybe now she'll climb up here and leave us alone. So it's going to be 3 1/8 or 4 1/8 by 3 1/8. We have some of that brown. You know, the brown and greens are just, they're nice. They're different. I'm going to go 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Save that one for a pocket tag. I think I want more brown showing. I do. I like that better. No, she's going to make her bed over in some paper instead. Now, what's going to be cute is I'm going to have some enamel dots. I've got some white ones I'm going to put there for my marshmallows when we go to decorate. Okay, that's done. If you are new to using your art glitter glue, you'll notice when it dries, it kind of flakes like skin when it's on you. And so you'll find it on your paper, and you're constantly wiping it off when you're doing a big project. I mean, but it's nothing that will damage anything. It's just the way the art glue is. And that's normal. So if you're new to using it, that is normal. Just for the inside. So if I do need to trim this, I would go from my straight edge over here, but it looks like things are going to fit. There's times when I make mini albums with some of the really gorgeous paper, and to be honest with you, pictures, no, I don't put them in. But I've made them because I want to look at the paper. And so on those, I do more the flowers, a little more elaborate. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes the paper is just really pretty. This, I'm really going to use it for pictures. I have a lot of the grandkids out in the snow on the tractor, fun things, sleigh rides. So I'm not going to have quite the elaborate any flowers because I want room for pictures in this one. This one I really want to add in some of our past winter pictures that I haven't been able to scrapbook yet because I haven't really made a winter album just for pictures. I've always used them just to go back and look at the gorgeous collection. And I know I've had some people ask me, well, what do you do with these albums? And that's the truth. Sometimes it's just to showcase the paper. And it was something I wanted to make because crafting is extremely relaxing. And it's not necessarily that I want to put pictures in it, but it's there if I want to. And don't feel guilty. There we go. Down we go. I really like this page. It's just one of those things that I just really like. She does too. Okay, on our third page, so let's start with our waterfall. Okay, our waterfall is going to be basically the whole size of the page, almost. But I always put my waterfalls on a mat first. So, I can't say a word with the cat. I do want to mat the back of this. And you just want a background piece. Just for your edges. We have the blue, we have the light blue, with the brown. I don't want to, just use, there it is, my whole piece of paper just for that. So I'm kind of going through my bits and pieces over here and seeing what we've got. We've got the blue one. Because you are going to have about a 1/4 to 1/2 inch all the way around. So you can use a solid. I am going to go ahead with this blue or the brown. Let me use the blue. So let's go ahead and mat this first, and then we will cut our waterfall piece. Well, no, let's go ahead and cut our waterfall pieces first. So you do want another piece of cardstock unless you have a scrap. This is 8.5. And I'm going to cut my mat for this at 5.5 by 8. Okay, for your waterfall, you're going to want to start out with one piece that is 8 inches by 5.5. Then you need to have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of 5.5 by 5.5. Then for the cover, we do need a piece that is 9 by 5 3/4. We're going to just start with our waterfall. This is our base, and we're going to score each one of our waterfall pieces at 1/2 inch, and they're 5.5 by 5.5, so you have a perfect square. It won't matter what side. I will be using 3 different pieces of our paper collection. So one of them will be the cardstock, oh goodness, the blue. You should have 2 pieces of the blue spectrum. And we'll alternate so that. Oh, and one thing too, I forgot. You need to go ahead and pull out. This is my cover. So I need to put, these are going to be part of the main cover. And then the inside, well, I'll go ahead and we'll wait and get there. And then I can give you an exact count of exactly what we used out of our paper collection. Actually, I need to make a note of that so that you guys know exactly in the beginning what the supplies are. And I am going to be chomping the corners. And I can do 3 at a time. Straight. Okay, now on your 5.5 by 8 inch piece, we'll start with the first one, and we're going to check our sides. And I don't miter my edges on this. And then we'll just keep working down. I work upside down so I can, where that one ends, the next one starts. And again, if you need a little contrast, sometimes it helps, especially to check your sides, because it's better to check your measurements, and if you need to trim it, which I did need to on that one, it's better to trim it now because you really can't fix it once it's down. Much better. And because we do cut each one separate, it's, you know, the chance of them being off is going to be there. And it's really hard to check them until you put it down. Finish that really well. Now, this foam folder we do sell in the store, countrycraftcreations.com, and it is fabulous. Yep, I'm off again. So, yeah, take your time with your waterfall. This does take a few minutes. Just because we are not a machine, which sometimes that would be nice, like our silhouettes or cameos, but have it cut your pages. I guess the kitty doesn't feel I'm talking to her enough, so she left. Okay, at this point, a lot of times, let's stop for a second. Even though I did check. Let's just double check. Okay, so I do want to show you something. Your waterfall, if you want to shorten it by one, you can, and that looks like, okay, that looks like part of your waterfall. You don't have to put this last one down if you are short of paper or wanting to conserve paper, so this one will match. It should match. Now, if it's a little off, you can trim the bottom. I like to just add my last one. Sometimes I leave it, make this one look like it's part of the waterfall. Now, when we mat, you do have to measure this last page because it will be different than the 5 by 5.5. It's usually a little different. I get the wet one or the damp one. Like I said, with the linen paper, I'm not going to hurt it because it'll dry perfectly clear. You won't even see it. And I'm going back and burnishing everything really tight. And then I'll chomp the edge of this matting piece. So it blends in. Just a little off, but that doesn't bother me. Nice big waterfall. Excuse me. So when we put, I'm just setting that there because actually I think I'll use that. It's really close because not much of it will show. Our 9-inch piece, we need to score this. It's 9 by the 5 3/4, but we are going to score this at 1/2 and 3/4. We need that gusset to go over the waterfall. So do the small one first. And on these little ones, make sure if you use your paper to fold back, you'll get a nice straight gusset. and so that it matches. And this will sit there, and then our waterfall, actually sitting right so. It's a little bit longer than our waterfall. But a little shorter than our page. Now push back because you want that gusset. Then you want the 1/8 on the edges. Excuse me. Oh, darn glue on my fingers. I'm going to push back. Okay. We need to map first, and we need to have, let's see, our waterfall will go down towards that. See where that gusset is, and it will just fold over. So what we will do is add our magnet. It'll be up higher, but that's okay. We could put it down and catch underneath there, but it's too, I think it's just too many layers. So let's go ahead and map this. I'm going to go ahead and use my brown, so I'll cut it the 5 7/8 by 8 3/8. And you may have to go a little bit shorter. Let's see. Right to the top. Nope, we're good. Making the album, I think, feels like I should be drinking hot chocolate with big marshmallows. It's just such a fun paper. And I love the snow. I'm not so much a summer. And then our waterfall will sit right up to that first score line. Or at the edge of your pattern paper. There we go. This is going to come over. And a large magnet. So plan on using, I've used a little over 2 large magnet packages with including the cover. So it does take some supplies to use your magnets. But it's forever because swing tabs, I've had them wear out. The magnets, they don't wear out. So, okay. No, that is not going to work. That one might. So for this little guy, let's go ahead. I don't want to put it through too many layers. So I'm going to go here on my third. Well, the second from the bottom. And let's see. It's from my old Cricut. Okay, much better, much better. Yes. Okay, much better. I'm going to have to use my score tape now since I... kind of weakened the... There we go. So when you do open it, that way it's not going to pull all your papers up. Okay, now we can start matting our waterfall. Okay, I grabbed the 6x6, and you'll have 3 of each design. So, or there's 16 design patterns. So I took this one. You'll want 3 of this one, 2 of this one, and then this is the blue, the Robin's A blue. So 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops. All right, let's try this again. Oh, and this little guy that hides under here. 5, 6, 7. So we need to have... So you do need 3 of the plants. Now measure your back one to make sure you have that 1/2 inch. Mine's only 4.5 by 5.5. And then it's totally up to you if you want to do this back side. Now on the back side, because either you can use, you can leave it. I like to mat mine. So with these colors, we're already using the blue. I think I'll go ahead with the green. I mean, no, let's go ahead. I'm going to go with the white. Let me grab my. So on this one, we are going to be using we have to have 3 sheets. So I will up that count for everybody. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get mine cut and put them down. I won't do the whole thing on camera because it's very simple. Cut it 5 3/8 by 4 7/8. So it's 4 7/8 long by the 5 3/8, and you'll just cut them to fit. And then on here, I just do the 5 3/8 by 3/8 strips, and I can do those on camera. So I'll get everything cut and matted, and we'll be back. Well, my camera froze, and I'd come back on, and I did show about putting this center strip in. I actually put it on camera, but the camera froze, and so I'm not able to put it back on. But remember, we cut our mats, and now I've gone ahead with a little little wider than 3/8 by the 5 3/8, and I did put the trees in. So I already did the top, and then I looked over and realized camera froze. So I did cut my mat. This was 5 3/4, and so I cut our matting at 5 5/8 by 8 1/8, and I did cut 2 pieces, so we didn't lose too much. But I'm going to turn this sideways because it's very possible the length I may have hit the keyboard, but at least we didn't lose any major construction. And I'm going to have the plaid down on the inside. And I was really scared that we lost the construction of the waterfall, but it's there, so I feel better. I don't know why it froze unless I hit a key. I have a new keyboard too. It's very different. It's a gaming keyboard. Since I use it so much, even though I don't do gaming, it has different controls, and I must have hit something and froze the screen, so I'm going to have to be very careful. All right, so we just matted the inside. Remember, you have a gusset, so don't cover that up. Go around your magnet. Okay, so there's our waterfall. And nicely held down with our flap. Okay, now the back side, that's the back of our page. And if you look over in your pile of scraps, you may have enough that we, hopefully, my goal is not to cut into another sheet, but I don't know if that's totally possible, but it might be. Okay, so for each one of these, let me turn this sideways. So we have 8 1/2 to work with, and I want 4-inch. The flaps that open, it's 4 inches, and we know that this is 6. But we want at least 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to put our tags in there. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 4 inches wide by 6 1/4 long. So 4 inches by 6 1/4, and I want 2 of these. No, I was hoping to use up some scraps, but okay, I've got one I can use, so I'm going to cut it at 4 inches by 6 1/4, and I'll need another piece of cardstock. Just want to make sure we have enough for the cover. And another 4-inch by 6 1/4. Now, we're going to want to cut 4 pieces of cardstock that are 5 inches. No, sorry. Yes, 5 inches by 5 1/2. No, yeah. 5 inches by 5 1/2. You need 5 inch by 5 1/2. Five inches by 4 1/2. You need to remember that. So I'm just kind of looking through my scraps here. 5 inches by 4 1/2. Because you want to try and use up your scraps. But if not, they make great tags. So 5 inches by 5 1/2. So what did I do? I did my 5 inches by 4 1/2. They got to be 5 1/2 by 4 inches. What am I? 5 inches by 5.5. Having one of those nights. Three and 4. Okay. Ah, goodness. Six and a quarter. Okay, those are right. Let's take our bases first. Take our 4 pockets over here. Don't ask me. I apologize how one person can get so confused with the measurements. Okay, 1/2 inch on your 6 1/4 inch side. And burnish that edge up. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut mine. Okay, now, so I don't get this messed up, we're going to start on our 5 inch side. I had knocked my camera earlier there. On the 5 inch side, we're going to score it 1/2 inch and turn it 1/2 inch and turn it and 1/2 inch because we're making the pockets that will sit on top of these. So 5 inches, 1/2 inch, 5 1/2 inch side, 1/2 inch, back to our 5 inch side, 1/2 inch. We need to do this to all 4. 5 inch side because we want the 2 long sides and the 1 short side. And 5 inch. So 5 inch, 1/2. Now we're on the 5 1/2, 1/2, and again at 1/2. And let's go ahead and fold those up. Now let's check. With my score mark underneath, I am just checking side to side. And I'm also going to check that I didn't get too close to the top. And I did not. Now I want to go ahead and cut across here. And I'm going to go ahead and angle my edges. So when you do that, you just fold in your 1/2 inch score line. And miter that down. We have been found. Here she comes. And she knows we're talking about her. Okay, there's our flap because that's going to go down on our page. Check side to side, and we're going to put our first one down. Remember, you need that flap because it's going to go, oops, go down. Just need to trim my edge a little because no, I did not get it straight. That's like no surprise tonight. Or last night. Or this afternoon. Okay. So the thing is, we're going to also have our pocket on the other side. Now, I'm only going to do one. Okay. To start. To make sure it's going to be the way I want it. So let me put that down. Okay, it'll close just fine. Okay. So we're going to do each pocket the exact same way. Now, to tell you, this is one thing I changed in the original album. So this is why I'm only doing one. And I don't want you to put yours down yet. Okay, I'm going to put it, see, I'm putting it about a 1/16 of an inch from that score line. Because if you don't like the way mine closes, then you can just cut your score lines off and use it as a tag. Because I kind of changed this in midstream. It was just I saw it in my head, and this is like, I wanted to put this in my album. I wanted the double tags for more pictures. And a lot of times I don't pre-try things because it's just, I don't, and I don't want to waste the paper, but I think it's going to work just fine. Excuse her. Yeah, you need to move. Okay, now the way these are going to sit, one will sit at the bottom and one will sit at the top. Well, I'm going to come in about 1/16 of an inch. So no need to miter those edges. I'm going to go ahead and sit this one down, but you will want 2 magnets. All right, let me go ahead and grab, because you should have plenty of scraps. And I'm going to cut this at 5.5 again. I cut mine just a hair over 3 3/4. So let me take it down to 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 wide is what I cut mine by 5.5. Let me get down there with my spatula. Yep, I had a little, piece of glue stopping that. Much better. So 3 3/4 by the 5.5. And that's what will go in both of them. And then on this side, let's go ahead. I'm going to use my small magnets. I don't see any. Well, go ahead. Your small magnets are okay. I'm going to go ahead and use a large, because they're here and because of the weight. I'm sorry about our commentary. If you can hear her. She is a talkative kitty. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another one at 3 3/4. So I have them all in there by 5 1/2. And then we just have to mat them. I find a lot of times with tutorials, if I don't do the matting and everything now with you, I tend to not go back and finish. And then I grab an album either to gift give or to show somebody because they want to know how to do it. And I find I didn't put the tags in or something. Make sure nothing's stuck. Oh, and down it goes. Okay, we're going to make the second one just like the first. Check my side to side. I'll that up in just a moment. Really does feel like my desk slides down. Okay, remember you have your flap there. Now, pre-check the pocket, and let's do the back side. some reason, there we go. Hold that one for a moment. I don't think I got up. I didn't all the way to the top where I need to be. Right on those edges. Okay, let me cut my 2 tags, 3 3/4. Oh no, let's put it down and then we'll cut the tags. Now remember, this one will be about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom, just like this one was about 1/8 of an inch from the top. Let's burnish that down really well. Okay, let that dry while I cut my 2 tags. Oh, almost got a scrap there. 5 1/2 by 3 3/4. I think that one was 5 1/2. Awesome, almost. I love when we can use up those scraps. Not quite. Oh goodness, they all want to be. We got one. And you'll notice with the weight of these, if you don't want to use the magnet, you don't have to. It's holding it down pretty good because of the weight. Let me see something. I only have to use one magnet because it's right there. And that's always nice. Let's match. So our last page, oops, what's my mat? So our last page was our waterfall. Oh, no, it wasn't. This is the back page. There's really nothing to match it with, but let's see what we've used. We've used our blues, we've used our llamas, and our trees. So you know what, we've used a lot of blues and greens here. So I think let's see, did we use any of the other sweater? Okay, it was time to clean up a few scraps so I can find what we're going to use. So, and I'm going to go with our mittens. We have not used this one on this page. So this is our normal size. I've got Matt here that keeps, there we go. Normal size, which is the 5 7/8 by 8 3/8. And then to mat, we have 5 inches by 4. So 4 7/8 by 3 7/8. I'm going to be using the back sides. That's 4 7/8 by 3 7/8. And I want 2 of those. Actually, I'm going to put those on the front. Excuse me. Oh, I have extras. Well, let's just do it all front and back. So we've used an awful lot of greens and browns, or I have. And then with our 6x6, we'll cover our tags, which is nice to have 4 extra places for pictures. So right there is good. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 places for picture. Well, actually, you can go on the back. So 2, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it is 8. Can't even count. Wow. And I don't need a nap. I had one today. So, can you hardly believe it? We're going to be moving on to our hinges next. And then our cover. Yeah, I don't think it's directional, but it kind of looks it. I think it actually is. Now, I did come away from, but I think I came away too far. Oh, goodness. I did. What was I thinking again? You guys, I have to apologize. I mean, I know my tutorials make goofs, but this one, and it's like one of my simpler ones. Okay, there we go. I still stayed a little bit away from my hinges of our little mats here. We double check our sizing. That's right. You can round your magnet a little bit, make sure the paper is sitting nice over it. I am double checking the fit before I put them down after all my boo-boos. I'm not even being heavy with the glue. It's just, for some reason, I've never had an album where it came out so much. Let's double check, just for safety. Now, when you match your inside tags, whether you choose to use your 6x6, you can use your scraps. I'm going to go ahead and grab my 6x6, and we're going to map these really quick. And that way they will be done. Okay. So we have a 3 3/4. So I'm going to go 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. I like to put it there so I remember. And 5 3/8. Okay, so for the front, I'm going to go ahead and grab, because I do have just some scraps that are hanging out here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those, and then I'll go ahead and use my, I have these guys. So and then I'll go ahead and use my 6x6. So I'm going to do the green on the front. Or maybe I'll go ahead and use this. Oh, no, I don't want to cut her. I do have this one, so. If I take that back, I think I will go ahead and use. I've got a couple of extra of these scraps hanging out, so. And they are a good, they're the perfect size, so. All right, what just happened? Okay, we're still on. My word, I don't know why my computer is doing this. Oops, I'm going to cut that for sure. I'll do one green and one Christmas tree. I'm going to do the Christmas tree and plaid for the front, these two for the back. Of course, it doesn't matter the order we put them in. You can change it. Now, if you want, you can also mat the backs. I'm only going to mat the front. What is fun is to get like a silver Sharpie, and you can date the back of the cards on the blue. So you could use a silver Sharpie, and I usually have one sitting here, and it looks really nice on the navy blue and the black, or a white. A white pen would do it. We'll put this one at the front with the plaid. And then after you put your tags on, if you want, you can poke a hole and add some string. And I probably will. I use seam binding. We'll do that during the decorating. Whoops, almost did the wrong side. I hate it when you love both sides. And if you notice that little blue line through there, just really makes it look nice. Flatten it so it makes it nice and flat. And our trees. Okay, mittens. Mittens and plaid. You know, I hate those little seeds. Oh, you know what? One thing we didn't do was cover the inside here. I don't think I will. I think I like the blue. I usually do, but no, I think I'm going to leave it. You can go ahead and definitely mat that if you like. Oh, that one fit. That one went really nice in there. Sort of. But it looks fine. So, wow, we have our pages. So that's how we'll start here. Now, actually, this side is going to open this way. We'll make our tags for here. And when you gather up all your, see, we have all of our scraps. So you can choose many a different size. And the same for in here. You can also we can put more than one. Again, it's nice to have your varying heights or widths. And then everything can get cleaned up and we can go back through. So this is kind of my cleaning up process, is going through and seeing which pieces and parts, because those are really good ones to keep, that we want to keep, or that we can use that aren't too small. I want to do some bigger ones for that one. Of course, we don't need any for here. And there's our, oh, it goes this way and then this way. And this is a really heavy page. So now one thing that I want to show you before we move to our hinges. So grab your first sheet. First set of cards. Okay. Now in these, you'll notice that I had those two tags. So what I did, let me show you. This is different. I sort of stuck my ruler in here even before we put them on. It's not going to be 100% exactly accurate, but using your ruler. But we're not going to do this till we put it on. I will go ahead and mark it at 4 1/4 on the inside here. And I'm going to put a bead of glue that will separate the two sides. And that's how I did that. So, but we'll do that after it's on because we need to get our hands in there to get it onto our hinge. So let's now go on to our hinges. And our pages are 8 1/2 long. We're going to have a 1/2 inch gusset. So I'm going to cut all my hinge pieces at 8 3/8 by 12. we're going to get both hinges onto the one sheet. Now, I always check your hinges because you want them to slide in nicely. You don't want to have to miter any edges. Your page should slide right on, so we don't have to do any mitering. If you feel it's too tight, go ahead and trim a minute amount off. So let's go ahead and we're going to score our first 3, and I'll show you. Then we'll cut it. So we're going to start at 1 1/4, 1 1/2. And we start and end. Then we're going to go 2, 2 1/2, 3. That's our first set. 3 1/2, 4. Second set of hinges. 5, 5 1/2, and 5 3/4. Like to start and end. So here's hinge number 1, 2, gusset, gusset. Okay, I'm just doing this to make sure I've done everything correctly before we move on. 1, 2, and 3. Yes. Okay. So that put us at 5 3/4. We're not going to be able to get both hinges out of one. I apologize. So we need to cut this off at 7 1/2. So you need to cut one more at 7 1/2 by 8 3/8. I know I need to write my tutorials out, but even for myself. So 7 1/2 by 8 3/8. So we do have to use 2 pieces of paper. So 1 1/4 and 1 1/2. 2, 2 1/2, 3. There's 1. 3 1/2, 4. 4 1/2 is 2. 5, 5 1/2, and 5 3/4. That makes 3 hinges. Grab my 3/8 and my 1/4 inch. All right, start with that 1/4 inch. And I explain this in all my videos, just so you know. The reason I don't like anything hanging over the edge of my hinges is I've had to take pages out. It's happened twice. And it's going to happen to everybody at least once. You don't want to waste your pages, but maybe you've messed something up inside the book majorly. And like I was making an album in a box, and I totally messed the box up. My hinges were in, but because I did not extend them across important areas of the album where I'd have to rip off even more and ruin things, I was able to just rip my hinges out doing it this way. Okay, I always get those 2 1/4 inches because they're your hardest. Then I grab my first set, pinch them together, okay, and back and forth. Now see, there's my 1/4 inch. So I begin with the 1/4 inch and I end with the 1/4 inch. Gusset, grab your next set, pinch those together, and then back and forth. So you have your 2 hinges. Now we'll have a gusset, grab the next set of 2, and back and forth. Even though this may get trimmed, it's always better we have a little hair extra. Oops. So we get things all put together. So on my little 1/4 inches, I'm going to put my 1/4 inch. It will hang over just a hair, and it won't hurt a thing. Okay. And my 3/8 will fit perfectly. So what I do is I leave one, and then I do tape and tape. It helps me just keep things straight. Leave one, and then 2 rows of my 3/8 of an inch score tape. If you are using a wet adhesive, just pinch these together. Don't worry about this top part. That's going to be used. That becomes all together, and we're going to use that to put it onto our album. Now, this is also going to tell us how big to make our spines on our books. Okay, I'm just going to, here's our first 1/4 inch. I'm going to remove, let's start at this side so it's easier. 1/4 inch, we have that space. We're going to remove this piece. You can do one each at a time. I just remove them. You do what's comfortable. Okay, let's fold it over and burnish. Fold it over and burnish, and fold over your last one. Oh no, we use this to put our back on. Sorry, not to put it on our spine yet. Okay. Now on the outside, see, I need to clean this up. Now before we continue and use more of our score tape, we're just going to double check that we're happy with our hinge fit. Okay, that was weird just for a moment. Oh, yeah, I'm happy. I do have, you know, when we were doing our construction here, a little bit sticking all over, so I'm just going to clean up that edge. And now is the time to do that. If you see anything that's going to bother you, or you just, because as humans, when we put things together, they're not always exact. There we go. All right. Now we can push this back because we need that 1/4 inch. And what I'm looking for is to see where it meets, because I need it to stop just before there. So looks like I need to take off about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And it won't matter, just take off half. Push that against that 1/4 inch so you don't lose that little 1/4 inch score. And it doesn't matter which one, we're going to go ahead and put score tape on the back of one side. Okay, I'm going to remove all my tape backing. Now, on the next set of hinges, because we're doing it the exact same way, I'll just basically be putting it together. Now, on this side with no score tape, it goes down first. And I really score my ends. I'm still scored again. I want to make sure it's attached and there's no gaps. Now, push against that 1/4 inch. You need to have it. If you're using your scraper, that really helps because you want this all closed. Okay. Now you can move these back and forth, kind of get them broken in. And because we made them that eighth of an inch shorter, we do not have to miter our corners. We have a nice smooth fit. Now, once in a while it's happened and I've had to go back and miter them, but it's because I didn't measure correctly. Corte. One thing, you can choose whichever size you want to use. Your 3/8 of an inch is great because it sits towards the top. I set it towards the top, and you have an 1/8 of an inch down here at the bottom. And I like to use my 1/8 of an inch when I have some of these pages are pretty heavy. But you want it at the top because you don't want any score tape to show at the bottom. It just doesn't look very attractive. Once again. Trim up your edges. And now I know that my spines are going to be 1 3/4. This I will write down. By 9. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off now. Because we knew cutting it off at 1/2 of an inch was great. Use your paper to push down on your score lines and you'll find they'll always be straight. And I am moving faster on this one. But I wanted to still do it on camera, so if you needed to just have some reassurance or pick up and look at something again, or you can go back. And you can also fast forward through. That's the nice thing about video. Okay, remember your 1/4 inch lip right there. Push back and down. Maybe a heavier one. A little bit stiff. These ones are. And you don't want them that stiff because you don't want your pages to stick up. You're going to love how your pages lay nice. Okay. Oh, one thing we need to do is go ahead while we're here with our tape. This is the back. This is what's going to attach into the book.